This is the MTH Premier line, the ultimate in O-gauge trains. The MTH Premier lineup includes some of the finest quarter-inch scale models to ever run on an O-gauge railroad. The MTH Premier line combines the best of both O-gauge worlds. Premier line locomotives have the size and fine detail of a true O-scale model, yet they operate on 3-rail track. And because of its scale size, MTH Premier line locomotives perform even better than they look. Built from precision die-cast and ABS plastic components, our Premier line products represent millions of dollars invested in the dies and other tooling required to produce these models. Every piece of that tooling has been made with but one idea in mind: to bring you the finest 3-rail O-gauge models available anywhere. We use our modular chassis design on all Premier line locomotives. This unique chassis design allows us to pack a lot of special features into these locomotives. Premier line locomotives all have the MTH Proto-Sound system installed, and the Proto-Smoke units make these engines look startlingly real. With the Premier line Proto-Smoke system, you can make a lot of smoke using safe, non-toxic MTH Proto-Smoke fluid. And if you don't want the smoke on, you can easily turn it off with a small switch under the locomotive. Another feature that sets our Premier line locomotives apart is the sophisticated lighting systems we have installed in them. In Premier line diesels, directional headlights always light the railroad ahead in the direction of movement, just like the real thing. You'll also find lighted number boards, flashing Mars lights, and operating ditch lights on the modern diesels. Scale size, lots of detail, powerful flywheel-equipped motors, smooth performance, lighting systems. Sounds like we've covered all the bases except for one big question. How well do MTH Premier line locomotives handle a big train? If they're built to scale size, they ought to be able to pull a scale size train, right? How does over 50 cars grab you? Here's our Premier line Union Pacific Big Boy, a model of the longest and one of the most powerful steam locomotives ever built. Behind the drawbar of that massive tender are 52 cars of O-gauge manifest freight. Don't believe it? Just watch. Every car in this train is an MTH Premier line freight car. No matter what kind of freight cars you enjoy running in your trains, tank cars, box cars, reefers, hoppers, gondolas, flat cars, you name it, we've got it. Our selection is so big that you could make up all your trains with MTH Premier line freight cars. Our locomotives can pull a huge train like this because we use powerful, high-torque can motors with flywheels in all Premier line locomotives. These motors deliver pulling power to all the drive wheels, and several of those wheels have special traction tires. Those tires increase the locomotive's pulling power to the point where handling a long, heavy train like this is easy. There you are, a 52-car train pulled by one MTH Premier line steam locomotive. This is not trick photography, and we did nothing special to the cars or the locomotive. They're all right out of the box. In other words, if you've got the room to pull 52 cars, you can do this too. But don't think that the Big Boy is the only MTH engine that can do this. Here's our Premier line Union Pacific Veranda turbine. And it's also on the point of a 52-car train. In the interest of time, we're not going to watch the whole train go by, but there are 52 cars in this train. Obviously, the big veranda locomotive is having no problem pulling this heavy train. Talk about pulling power. MTH Premier line locomotives have it. Lots of it. In fact, these locomotives will actually pull many more cars than this. We just didn't have room for any more cars on the layouts where these scenes were shot. MTH Premier Line locomotives are some of the best in the business. But locomotives alone won't get the job done. You've got to have freight and passenger cars to make your railroad run. MTH Premier Line rolling stock matches the quality and scale size of our locomotives. We've got boxcars, tank cars, both big and small, coal hoppers, reefers, and even modern double stacks. We've got every kind of car you need to handle the freight for every customer on your model railroad. All Premier Line cars feature fully sprung die-cast trucks to help the cars ride smoothly over rough track. They also feature operating metal couplers, no plastic here, with fast angle wheels and metal axles. The ABS plastic bodies are just loaded with detail, even on the underbody. They feature separate brake wheels, and many of the cars have realistic interiors, such as the Premier Line hoppers. Coal loads are available for the hoppers. There are junk loads for the gondolas, and coil loads for the coil cars. For the tail end of your trains, you can choose from a wide selection of beautiful cabooses, and we probably have one painted and lettered for your favorite railroad. Many of our Premier Line cars have stamped metal floors, and our tank cars have metal handrails. Completing the package, all Premier Line freight cars have bright, clean, and crisp graphics with legible reporting marks and colorful railroad logos. When you make up your passenger trains with our Premier Line passenger cars, you'll be running some of the finest passenger trains ever to roll on an O-gauge model railroad. Whether it's a modern train like our Amtrak Caltrain set or the fabulous Santa Fe El Capitan, the romance of fast passenger trains can come alive on your railroad with any of our Premier Line passenger sets. Just like our freight rolling stock, our passenger cars feature beautifully detailed die-cast trucks with operating couplers, with fast angle wheels and metal axles. The ABS plastic car bodies are just loaded with fine details, complete with underbody detail, interior car detail, and end-of-car diaphragms on all cars. Last but not least, our Premier Line passenger cars are accurately painted and lettered for your favorite railroad with clear, colorful graphics. MTH electric trains, Premier Line locomotives, and rolling stock are the ultimate in O-gauge railroading. No matter what your particular interest, you'll find something you like in our huge product line of diesel locomotives, steam locomotives, freight cars, and beautiful passenger cars. The MTH Premier Line, the top of the line in O-gauge model trains. You'll find them at your nearest MTH dealer.